Ryan here with Prudential Pest Solutions. And on this yellow jacket job, there were 4 yellow jacket nests on one property in Cochranville, Pennsylvania, which is in southwestern Chester County, southeastern Pennsylvania. The client had identified all 4 of these nests because she had gotten stung one time at each nest. So that's how she knew she had 4 of them, and that's how she knew to point them out to us. So the first one here was in this burn box that she had. So they would collect leaves and papers and whatnot that they would put in their burn pit. And the yellow jackets were coming out of it. Now, originally, I thought they were coming from underneath the box, but we can kind of see the top of some of the paper nests there in amongst the leaves. And it's actually a box sitting on top of a box, and I could see another part of the nest coming off the side there. So I knew that their nest had to be at the bottom of the box, and I thought maybe I could reach it from the top, move some leaves around. Now, of course, I'm all suited up in my bee suit because ground yellow jackets are quite angry, and they will sting relentlessly. Which is why folks, when they find them, it's usually mowing or weed whacking, and they have to run off. So flip the box over, and there's the bottom of the nest. So they were going in amongst the leaves at the top, but the nest itself was all the way nestled at the bottom in between the 2 boxes. So I'm using my PTPI. And my preferred method with any of these in-ground yellow jacket nests is to use the aerosol to permeate the entire nest there. And then I like to dig them up out of the ground, physically remove the nest, and then apply a long-term residual dust. So you'll see that theme for the next 3 of these. And this video takes place in real time. So this isn't fast-forwarded. There's no cuts. I just have my bee outfit on and my bee equipment, my bee and wasp equipment in that container over there. But really, for the most part, I can do all this work here with just my paint multi-tool, which is my scraper prior attachment, my PTPI, and then my tempo dust. So this is me just digging through the leaves, making sure there's no other sections of the nest floating around there. And then where the box was, I wanted to make sure that there wasn't an actual nest that went below the box into the ground. So we're just going to double check that. And that box was underneath the deck there. So, I mean, those yellow jackets were pretty smart about where they built the nest. I mean, it was in a leaf pile, in a box, below a box, underneath the deck. So pretty well protected. And you can see I'm just checking the stones here to make sure there's no hole that goes underground. Everything looks good, so I put the box back. I got the chunk of nest sitting out there. And one interesting thing about yellow jackets that I found is that when you can physically take the nest out of the area in which it was, the yellow jackets that are returning back to the nest, they won't go right to the nest. They'll go to where the nest used to be. So in this case, I took the box out from underneath the deck, number one, so I had better lighting for the video here, but also because as those other yellow jackets are coming back, they're actually going back to the deck. So this is a true in-ground yellow jacket hole here, underground nest, I should say. And the client had tried originally to use a YouTube method of putting a bucket of ice on top of the nest so that, I guess the idea is as the ice melts, it floods the chamber and it drowns them. But what these yellow jackets did is they made another exit hole about a foot away underneath this ornamental plant here. So I'm digging right at the new opening that they made, because I want to dig up the entire nest. And you'll know when you hit it because your tool will kind of just sink directly in, like there'll be a big void. In Pennsylvania, we have this tough clay soil, rocky soil. Well, when you hit the nest, you'll know because your tool will just drop right in. So that's the first hole there. That's their initial one that was attempted to be flooded. So I'm digging from the new hole back to the old hole to see if maybe the nest was in between them. And again, this is happening in real time. There's no edits or cuts. So we can actually see that I'm actually looking for the nest. And I know it's got to be under there because they were coming and going out of it. And I'm pretty relentless. I'm going to find it. And once I started digging closer to the original opening, I started going to the left there, and that's where we end up finding that nest. And you'll know when you hit the nest because not only will your tool just sink in, but you will be flooded with yellow jackets coming out of that opening. So you can see I got some of the paper nesting out of there. And I'm just going to dig it all the way out. And these can be quite extensive, even though they're underground. I mean, some people think, hey, I'm just going to spray the opening and that'll take care of it. But as you can see, this new opening was about a foot away from where the nest was. And no amount of raid or over-the-counter stuff would have reached it. I mean, you got to get in there and get the nest. So that's me applying my long-term residual dust, which is Tempo dust made by Bayer. And that's 2 nests down. Now you'll see on this next nest here, usually I have a lot more patience as far as when I apply the aerosol and I let it permeate down through there, I'll usually wait a little bit until I don't hear activity. Like if these nests were built into a structure, I wouldn't just open up the wall right away. I'd let the chemical do its work and then I would open up the wall. But with these outside ones, I get a little excited. I'm a Marine, so I like to just get after it. So I'll apply that aerosol, initially. And then maybe I dig a little bit in haste, a little quickly, because this one here, they really exploded out of it on me. So this is nest number 3. Move some leaves out of the way. Found the main opening. We're going to treat that with the PTPI. And then expose the nest, and I even quoted myself. I said, I was kind of talking to myself. I said, "Uh-oh, we're in trouble here, boys." You can see them; they're all over my gloves. They're going happy on me there. Now I wear some thick welding gloves, and I like them because they're thick. They can't sting through them, and also they go above. They extend beyond my wrist. Because yellow jackets are known, well, at least in my experience. They'll go right down your gloves and sting you on the right on the wrist or something like that, and that's never fun. So I used to work with honeybees, so I'm pretty comfortable being around hundreds and thousands of stinging insects around me, and in my experience, I don't really start to, you never panic, because you start panicking, flailing around, and they're really going to start getting after you. But I found that, number one, if you're calm, they're calm. And 2 is if they start swarming around your face, that's when I know that things are getting a little wild. They can land on my gloves, they can sting my gloves, no big deal. But when they start really getting close to your face or dive bombing your face, whether it's honeybees, hornets, yellow jackets, wasps, whatever, that's when they're really trying to get after you. But like I said, I was in the Marines, so it doesn't bother me. I'm here to do the job. We're going to get that nest ripped out of there. And this was actually the biggest nest out of the 4 of them. And this was right in their front garden. So once the nest is removed, I will apply that Tempo dust into that big opening, that big void. And then I'll cover it back up because we don't want to hurt any non-target species. I just want to treat the nest directly. And that's going to take care of any of the stragglers that when they come back to that location looking for their nest, they're going to come across that dust and it's going to kill them. So those are our first 3 nests all kind of stacked together there. Well, those are the first and the third, I should say. And I'm not going to leave the nest. I wrap them in a tarp here until I'm all done, and then I'm going to throw them away. All right, so that's 3 nests treated. Off to number 4. And I always tell the clients, too, that when I'm done, when I'm off the property, when the treatment's complete, you're still going to see some yellow jackets kind of hovering around those areas. But big thing is you're not going to see them coming and going out of the opening anymore because, number 1, it's chemically treated, and 2, the nest is gone. And then usually within a day or 2, you're not going to have any yellow jackets at all. At least in those areas that we treated. So this is the last one here, and this is, I wouldn't say a busy road, but it's right along the road here, and people, I guess, have a tendency to fly up there, so I don't know what that car must have been thinking to come around the bend there, going pretty quick, and seeing a guy in a full bee suit. He was probably wishing he was us. Get to have fun during the day. So this last nest was a little bit more concealed. Again, the client was stung when she was just doing some gardening, just getting some weeds out of there. Easiest way to tell where the nest is to look where the funnel of bees are coming and going from. Well, yellow jackets, I guess, in this case. So again, we apply our aerosol in there. And then in true marine fashion, we're just going to dig right in and get some. And once I start digging in there and more of the nest is exposed, I apply more of that aerosol. That PTPI really kills them quick. And it doesn't have any kind of residual, so that's nice too. You know, we're not leaving anything behind. So this was kind of like a rocky soil embankment. They had built their nest underground, obviously, but underneath a bigger rock. So I was just making sure everything was treated. Get the nest stripped out. And just like the other ones, we'll apply long-term residual dust and then cover it back up. So there's a couple things that make this method and this treatment so effective. One is that we have all of our gear that we're going to need in one container. So I have everything from, a little pole saw, trimming shears to, a little shovel and my little paint scraper tool that I really like to use. I have a full bee suit, which makes me, I wouldn't say impenetrable to stings, but it definitely makes me feel more comfortable. And the fact that I have a lot of experience, working with honeybees, working around other stinging insects, and just being a professional with professional equipment and professional product allows us to be very effective in treating 4 nests in about 15 minutes. With no stings, no fuss, no muss, effective professional treatments. So if you have a bee, wasp, hornet, or yellow jacket issue, it's time to call the pros. Give Prudential Pest Solutions a call, 484-401-4361. We service all of southeastern and south central Pennsylvania, and we're here to help.